Artificial intelligence is making big waves. India is also contributing heavily towards artificial intelligence. We have our own Bharat Gen. To explain to me the details of Bharat Gen, I have with me Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan. He's a professor of computer science at IIT Bombay and also somebody who's leading the charge on artificial intelligence for Bharat Gen. Namaskar, sir.
Namaste, Pallavi.
What is Bharat Gen and why should India be proud of it?
The first reason Bharajan should be a very important matter of pride for India is that the entire concept of Bharajan is very Bharatiya. While Bharajan was created to help India create the ecosystem, I repeat the word ecosystem, for generative artificial intelligence, which includes large language models, which includes generative speech models and document vision models. The ecosystem part is also about educating, uplifting, involving different kinds of cohorts. On one hand, researchers, people working in educational institutions. On the other hand, bringing industry to talk to the research ecosystem, because often there's an impedance mismatch. Doing that well by design, right? And that ecosystem, the seed was sown a couple of years back, 2 years back, thanks to a very enthusiastic set of consortia member. We refer to them as academic consortia member across 7 academic institutions. IIT Bombay, we were of course leading it, but we had excellent support from IIT Madras. Professor Kamakoti, the director, has been a big support all the time. We've had IIT Kanpur, IIIT Hyderabad, IIT Hyderabad, IIT Indore, IIM Indore, and IIT Mandi. Now, IIM Indore is very different, right? It is basically an institute of management. But they've been doing a great job going to second-tier cities, third-tier cities, libraries, educating people that you have data. Libraries that actually carry a lot of traditional knowledge, I would say even medieval knowledge, but who have no understanding of how data is oil. Like today, the Honorable Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan ji, he said he was earlier a Minister of Petroleum. And people kept telling him data is oil. And now he's Minister of Education. And he said, yeah, now I see how data is oil. Okay. But how can people understand it unless you engage in a dialogue? So this ecosystem development, it started with this consortia of academic institutions. And what we are proud about is thanks to the support of Ministry of Education, thanks to the support of the Department of Science and Technology, and now thanks to a very big support from the India AI Mission, it has really grown to a whole.
So what exactly is Bharat Gen?
Yes, just to complete this, it become a whole of government, a whole of nation approach.
Correct.
That's why I say it's ecosystem. Not only we are getting people together, we are also being able to seek help of the government ecosystem together, the industry ecosystem together. Now, coming to your specific question, right? How is it constituted today? Today, Bharat Gen is constituted as a Section 8 not-for-profit company, completely owned by the Government of India through IIT Bombay. So, it is a company at IIT Bombay with a chairperson as the director IIT Bombay. I am also a director, right? But we also have the director representation from the India AI Mission.
So have you made a large language model?
Yes. We began with building small models. Why small models? Because first our capability had to be completely groomed, right? We have to also understand that India, we have been largely in, a kind of service mindset. So to build technology, which means to understand the entire stack, the development stack, of course, work very closely with the infrastructure to be able to run on thousands of GPUs. I'm repeating, thousands of GPUs, making sure there are inefficiencies are being addressed, required engineering and research to come together. So we started with small models. That small models themselves required up to 1,000 GPUs. We built out 2.9 billion parameter model, Param, in 2 languages, in Hindi and English.
Different from the Param supercomputer.
Is inspired. So it's inspired. That's the ecosystem part. Sure. We are also talking to CDAC. CDAC is also now joining our entire ecosystem here. So Param, later on, we had our 7 billion mixture of expert in 16 Indian languages. Now we'll be having 22 Indian languages covered through our latest release, which the Honorable Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh announced in the Rajya Sabha as well. So we have been building these models from the first bite. We release these models as digital public goods on AI Kosh, which is India's own repository, while also releasing it on Hugging Face for the international audience to test it out. We've done the same thing for speech models, speech to text models, which are basically called as Shrutam, right? And text to speech models, which are called Suktam. And we also have the first document vision language model we had released last year was called Patram. So all these built from
So
scratch.
how are they different from, say, the other models which exist, the large language models?
The first part, as I began, they are completely grounded in Bharatiya ecosystem. So BharatGen, data, use cases, all the entities we work with are very, very grounded for Indian ecosystem. So that's our first, I would say, element, right? The first component of our DNA.
So that's a USP. the
That's a
unique
USP.
selling-
The second is even the approach we adopt. Now, it is very important to acknowledge that China sowed this ecosystem maybe a decade back. Right now, they are reaping the rewards. I mean, the fact that DeepSeek could come up with so much more efficiency was because there was a lot of research done.
Sure.
Now, how can Indian languages get treatment that is very genuinely rooted in their nature, right? We don't want to necessarily force a Paninian view there, but empirically also, if you look at the Paninian view, the phonemes, right? Let's start with speech. If you look at all the Indian languages, there's a lot of phonetic similarity.
Absolutely.
Right?
We are an oral country.
Yes, and the phonemes are also similar.
Sure.
So the way I may say, right, Ganesh is not very different from the way I'm a Tamilian. It may not be very different from the way an Assamese says. There could be different levels of stress, right? Prosodic features may reflect differently. The duration may be different. But overall, there's a lot of similarity. So can we use a phonetic similarity in model building? Can we actually also look at the lexical similarity? Now, a word like dwar, dwaram, dwar, since we are at India Gate.
India Gate.
So dwar is common, right? And now you can get into more complex, vidyalaya or so many alays, right? Many of these Indian languages have this sandhi, right? There's a prakriti pratyaya vyavastha. So that is at the what we call the word level or lexical level. It's a lot of similarity. Now somebody may say, well, we are adopting a lot of, हम English ज़्यादा बोलते हैं, हिंदी वाक्यों में इंग्लिश आ जाता है, ऐसे किसी का कहना होगा, मान सकते हैं. फिर भी आप वाक्य रचना देखिए. जैसे हम कोई वाक्य कहें कि हम इंडिया गेट ही बोले अभी के लिए, उसको हम अनुवाद न करें, हम इंडिया गेट के सामने खड़े हैं. अब इसी वाक्य को आप तमिल में बोलिए, मराठी में बोलिए, आम्ही इंडिया गेट समोर उभा आहोत, நாங்க வந்து इंडिया गेट पक्का निकलों. Now the word order is exactly the same. आप इसे इंग्लिश में डाल दीजिए, we are standing in front of इंडिया गेट एंड में आता है, बाकी समय आप देखें इंडिया गेट बीच में आया, राइट. तो अब हमारे जो भारतीय भाषा है, इसको मोटा मोटी कह सकते हैं कि हमारी भारतीय भाषा में क्या श्रृंखला होती है, सब्जेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट, राइट. राम आम खाता है, वर्ब, सब्जेक्ट ऑब्जेक्ट वर्ब. आप इंग्लिश में देखेंगे तो क्या होगा, इट्स एग्जैक्टली द ऑपोजिट, राइट. इट इज सब्जेक्ट verb object. Ram eats mangoes. So you see the difference. Now can we treat the Indian languages for what they are? तो हमने एक पुस्तक छापी हमारे कंसोर्शियम समन्वय करके, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से हम भेंट किए थे 8 को, तो हमने उनको ये पुस्तक भी भेंट किया और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री ने विषय बहुत महत्वपूर्ण रखा कि हमें इस टेक्नोलॉजी को भी भारतीय बनाना है.
So what is the classic feature of BharatGen? Is it a functional large language model like the ones we use outside from different multinational companies? Is it very similar to that?
So, point number one, BharatGen's operation is very similar to those multinational companies who release these models for others to use, to build upon.
So it's like ChatGPT 5.
Now the difference is we don't run a service like ChatGPT is a B2C service, but they also have models being released. We release models, but for the adoption of the models, we work with partners. That's what I was referring to the ecosystem. So we work with banks, we work with hospitals, we work with lots of governments, state governments. Capacity building, right, happens as part of that because we view the entire LLM as a glass box. Again, a very important word, glass box. What does glass box mean? If there's one part to successful release of a checkpoint or a model, there are 1,000 parts to failure. What did not work is as important, or probably sometimes more important. So because we have those insights, when we work in collaboration, we are able to guide, advise, and build together. So co-design, that is another keyword I would like to throw. Ecosystem means you are not designing for others. We are working together so that AI becomes complementary to banks, to the financial legal sector, to education. Honorable Education Minister was saying, can we actually have AI tools being complementary to our schools rather than trying to replace our schools and teachers?
So would it mean that the basic model can then be tailor-made for a nursery school or for a bank or for a hospital? Is that what it is? And
Yes.
then it will follow all the 22 languages on which you have built it up?
Yes. So banks, hospitals, all of them whom we work with, they work with us. They take the recipes from us. Then they understand, they bring their insights, domain knowledge, and we co-design models, co-design applications. Sometimes it's just models, but sometimes it's also the applications. A simple example which everyone here is retrieval augmented generation, RAG. You would have probably heard, right? Now, what should be the right retrieval function? Should it be only a cosine similarity, which is very vanilla, or should it actually be informed by the domain?
So why is Bharat Gen not so popular like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude? I mean, one doesn't hear of Bharat Gen.
Yeah, thank you. I think it'll obviously become popular because of people like you. Thank
Very
you.
good.
So first of all, I'm grateful for this opportunity. The other reason is, whether it's ChatGPT or Gemini, you have to understand their journey began much earlier. I mean, the India mission, for example, announced late last year that Bharat Gen will be building models up to 1 trillion parameters, right? So 1 trillion parameters are the big models, like building a highway from where you can distill out smaller models. It's now that we have got on that large model journey, which actually requires 4,000, 5,000 GPUs at the least to get started. Forget about when you're completed building, right? So the capability, the compute access, all that is being worked upon. I mean, and India also has its own style of working. See, we are doing it differently. So because of this, I would say we are much younger and we have a lot of energy. The fact is, sometimes being late in the game can also be an advantage, because what's happening is we are also able to learn from the mistakes that were made earlier.
Sure.
And going down the line, we have to understand we need to reduce on the compute, the extent of compute that's required for inferencing on these models. It's unsustainable at population scale. So there's a lot that needs to be done. We may be late, but I would certainly say it's important, it's strategic, and we are very grateful that we're able to roll this out so far.
Is it also important that this is sovereign and and completely on Indian data set, controlled in India and housed in India? Is that an important fact?
Sovereignty is our key. The whole stack being sovereign is key, right from data, provenance. Where did the data come from? That is also part of sovereignty.
Sure.
I mean, sometimes in technical terms, it's called observability, right? You should be able to observe and trace back. The more we can do the trace back, more there is provenance, the more there is sovereignty, right? And therefore, sovereignty certainly has a nationalistic, patriotic fervor, but it is also very practical. It is what is also required for sustenance, the sovereignty. Because then you have control, you have visibility, and as I said, it becomes a glass box that makes it sovereign. Data, example of data, right? When we say sovereign, we work with 5 vendors for speech data, for pin code level data, and we try to build an agentic workflow where we help them and they also help us, so that mutually we can understand how data aggregation can be done with proper metadata. Because if metadata is missing in speech, for example, ये अभी speech data आपने ले लिया और उसपे मेरा नाम नहीं रहा, तो वो किसने बोला कैसे पता, आपके नाम पे वो स्पीच चला जाए सपोज.
Sure.
So then it becomes untraceable. And imagine doing this at scale. So provenance is so important in that entire stack. Capacity building of the vendor ecosystem. That is data. The second sovereignty part is the models. Tokenization. How do you, I gave examples of how you treat Indian languages, speech. That is also part of sovereignty. Understanding why you're doing what you're doing. Informed decisions is part of sovereignty. And then research around it. You can't have research being done in silos. China, we have to learn the fact that their research in academia is very grounded in what the industry needs.
Sure.
Bharatjan, we are very, very grateful that we could actually create that ecosystem so far. And that's why it is also not so popular, because ecosystem building takes time, sir. Ecosystem building takes a lot of sweat behind the scenes.
Is the lack of the number of GPUs becoming an issue for you for scaling up?
It is certainly to some extent, but I would also say that India Mission has been putting a lot of effort to get as many GPUs as possible. Now they found ways and means to also get resellers on board.
How many do we have this now?
I mean, I can talk about Bharatjan. For example, we've been able to train models up at 5,000 plus GPUs, right? 38,000 GPUs. So that's a kind of runway, right? Going to much, much larger than that.
Why can't we make our own GPUs?
Very good question. We must. I would speak from Bharatjan perspective that when we build models, we understand the workload. Now, if this workload can be used, especially with large models, like if you look at the Google Broadcom arrangement, if our workload can actually go into very good design through whichever entity, I think we would be very grateful, because we are not just contributing to model building, but also to sovereign infra. And I think that is the arrangement in China as well. I mean, many other places where there's a very good handshake between the infra and the development platform and the inference engine.
So how soon can we expect Bharatjan to become as popular as Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT? Everybody uses those.
Right. So good question. It's very important for us to collectively work on adoption, right? We need to obviously push the frontiers of how good our models are. Needless to say that. And we will do that. And we have been doing that ever since. We have some model releases during the India Impact Summit. We'll take all the feedback from our partners, from the people. But for it to get to that level, first is widespread adoption. Second, we also need people to join force. We ourselves are just 60 full-time employees. Our target is to go to 100. I mean, we need people with an entrepreneurial mindset and say, well, this is an opportunity for India. Someone else will not do it. We will do it together. So it's an invite to everyone, especially at a senior leadership level, with people with 10 to 12 years of experience, if they can come and consider being part of Bharatjan. Possibly it could also result in B2C, because Bharatjan is largely B2B as a not-for-profit entity. But we also need a lot of B2C activities.
So do you use Bharatjan or do you use ChatGPT 5?
So with our latest model, we have been using extensively Bharatjan. We have those model release. We've been correcting code. We have been correcting our own letters in 22 Indian languages using Bharatjan. That's all I can say. So look forward to the latest
release. If my viewers
release.
want to log into Bharatjan, how do they do that?
So currently, because it's a B2B, right? You will have to download the model from Hugging Face, AI Kush. Go through the instructions and set it up at your own end.
It can work on any laptop?
It can work on any laptop. It can work in air-gapped environments as well.
In air-gapped environments also?
Yes, that's the whole idea of sovereignty. That you can work in air-gapped environments. You don't need connection to the internet. It works completely locally. So anyone can download it and use it. We are also working with several partners to see if we can downsize the model so that it also runs on CPUs. Lots to do to make it publicly accessible, but it's important to make these models lightweight, have a scale-out model rather than a scale-up model. This is a scale-out, right? You being empowered to download it and design, develop on it is a scale-out model.
Now, a lot of people say for artificial intelligence, there's always a huge requirement of electricity. Does Bharatjan also consume and guzzle electricity like ChatGPT and other data centers and other models do?
So, to be very honest, there are two parts, right? One is the training. And when I'm training on 5,000 plus GPUs, obviously I'm going to consume the electricity that is required. Yes, I should make good use of those 5,000 GPUs, minimize useless communications, right? If we can do what we call OS bypass networking, different kind of bypasses to reduce our overheads, great. So that certainly reduces electricity. The other is also maximizing the throughput. So whatever compute is there, use that completely. There have been very interesting companies, startups, efforts in India also to, for example, do all kinds of augmentations to the memory so that, see, memory becomes a big bottleneck. Why are new grade GPUs coming up all the time? One reason is they have more memory. Can we also use some of the earlier GPUs, augment their memory and use their compute more efficiently, right? That's a throughput. So that's another way. And again, we've been working ourselves, collaborating. Some of our consortium partners, for example, from IIT Madras have been doing that very well. A third place is inference. See, all this is training, but inference is the killer, because ultimately, inference will mean what? When I run the model, I am getting output. That's a big compute guzzler. There's a lot to be done in that space, but we are on it. Many entities are on it. The good thing about a scale-out model is that inference is at least decentralized. The more you are going to aggregate all the inference in one place, like what you keep referring to these big companies, ChatGPT, Gemini, efficiency is lost there, right? I mean, it's like running a big mess, giant mess for the entire country, as against having small households cook their own food. Now you can assess for yourself what's a better way of having efficiency: households cook their food, or having all the food cooked in one place and distributed all throughout the country. It's the same answer I would have here.
So having a sovereign model is the best way forward for India?
Absolutely. For me, sovereign is a holy grail. The North Star for us is that this sovereignty is cutting edge. Sovereignty should not be at the cost of effectiveness. Now, having said that, from our end, my humble appeal to the audience is you also need to be forgiving. I mean, we forgave all the other foreign software, right? We adopted them and forgave them. They improved.
Yeah, they hallucinate so much. Does BharatGen hallucinate?
We've been working very hard to prevent hallucination. If there are, the feedbacks will be very valuable. It's only in an iterative manner that we can progress collectively. Yes, our goal is to make the iterations as few as possible. That's our challenge, and I would say that's our commitment as well. But again, I appeal to the readers, we all need to, again, Honorable PM, we had a very interesting interaction on it, and he was very clear. जब तक हम स्वदेशी नहीं करेंगे, तो जो दुकानें स्वदेशी बना रही वो भी बंद हो जाएंगी. So I think it's also a responsibility collectively, and he made a very good point that whether it's ethics, whether it's attribution to the end, it is a collective national responsibility. Everyone has to wake up to this, and for some, the responsibility is very different, of different magnitude, like we have, for example, inherited at BharatGen. Yes, the responsibility is on everyone.
So artificial intelligence for India's good and India's welfare, and BharatGen to lead the way, is that a fair thing?
Yes, sir. BharatGen as a consortium, as an ecosystem, we are confident it is what India needs. And we have shown that through UPI. UPI was not a one-man show. I think we should not rely on one-man show. I mean, the good thing about BharatGen is there are 8, 9, 10, 20 people like me who can come up and stand, right? Not dependent on me alone. I think we need that. Decentralized yet effective mechanism. And I believe BharatGen is a very good example for that.
And BharatGen for India's Viksit Bharat Yatra, would that be a fair way to look forward?
Yes, sir. In fact, the Honorable PM again made a very important point. More collaboration. Healthy competition, but a lot of collaboration. BharatGen, we have tried to do that. Make the engineers work with researchers. Make academia work with each other. We have a Section 8 company with a CEO. Our CEO, Mr. Rishi Bal, he was in Seattle for 25 years. He was with Google Research and Microsoft. We have VP again, who IIT Delhi graduate, UIUC PhD, is coming back. He has come back. Now, so our Chief Product Officer, Virginia Tech Prof, who has actually come back, right? So what we are seeing is this is drawing people back. People with different abilities are coming back together. Very beautiful Samskrita Subhashyatam. Amantram aksharam nasti, nasti moolam anaushadam. Ayogya purusho nasti, yojakas tatta durlabha. I mean, there is no...
Translate, sir.
Yeah. So there is no akshara, right, which doesn't have a mantra value. There is no aushada, no root, sorry, that doesn't have a medicinal value. And there is no person who doesn't have any value. I mean, every person has great value. What is very important is Yojaka, someone who can connect. In fact, our education models, they are called Yojaka. The whole idea is to connect people rather than stereotype. I think AI has that ability, and Bharatjan, we are trying to leverage AI to show that Yojaka, create that Yojaka ecosystem.
Can India become a developed country without deploying artificial intelligence?
I believe it's not possible at all. It's not impossible is my assessment. But India should use artificial intelligence in a way that is complementing its ecosystem. What I love about UPI, for example, is it kept our savings economy intact. I travel to the US, I have a nightmare time with a credit card. एक credit card नहीं चलता सर, और चार लगते हैं credit card. And here we have adopted UPI, decentralized. It has kept our savings economy intact. So we need to also be very mindful of our culture. We need to adopt AI in a way that doesn't destroy our strengths. I think AI must be adopted, but in a way that's complementary and supplementary, and not substituting what is our core principle. It may in some places substitute in a tactical manner, but not strategically. Teachers cannot be substituted. Yes, some places where teachers are finding it difficult, there's a lot of rote work. There may be a place where they may substitute, but not systematically. Systematically, it should be complementary or supplementary.
So, artificial intelligence for Viksit Bharat is your big message for us.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for speaking to me.
Thank you.
So that was Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan, Professor of Computer Science at Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, telling us all about Bharat Gen, and that a developed India will come only when we deploy artificial intelligence, but using sovereign data and sovereign models. Sovereignty is the key. Data leakage can lead to a lot of trouble. Bharat is developing its Bharat Gen large language model. Like he says, we need a decentralized approach which will take India towards a developed country. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
In New Delhi, Pallav Bagla for NDTV.